Hey, family, welcome back to This Can Be It, the podcast with your host, Coach Bliss. First off, I just want to say thank you so much for the love and support. I mean, from likes, DMs, new followers, comments. Oh my gosh, y'all have been killing it. Thank you so much. Continue to support me. Continue to follow me on this journey. It means so much to me. Like, continue, share it. Thank you. Today's podcast will be about being God's toughest soldiers. Okay, y'all about to be in my business today. Okay, because literally, I feel like I've been one of God's toughest soldiers. I mean, strong. Okay. You're gonna get a little insight of what it means to me to be God's toughest soldier, how I reposition this title in my mind, change my mindset around it, and the word that backs it up. So first, I just wanted to jump into it with a story time. Okay. After 2021, I moved to Houston, was in a terrible relationship. Long story for another day. Okay, terrible relationship. Pretty much lost myself in a relationship. But I found her. We found her again. She wasn't too far away, but I had to go grab her. Okay. Um, I started working as a teacher at this one school. Loved it, but hated it at the same time. And let me explain. A lot of people think that teaching is all about the kids. And I taught seventh grade math. So it was like, ew, you teach middle school? But in reality, it wasn't the kids at all. It was actually the admin. You'll be surprised. Like grown individuals making it just so hard to do God's work. And I really just did not understand it. And I realized that I don't think God want me to show up for these kids in this way. So I did my best. I ended up finishing my 2, 3 years there. And that was great. What I poured into my kids was more than seventh grade math. You can ask any of them. I taught individuals, and I mean, yeah, let's not get into it. Okay. I'm not gonna get into it. Just know I did my due diligence. Okay. But I loved teaching my kids. However, the other part of being a teacher I did not love. I was depressed. I was miserable every morning. Every morning, even driving home. This one I knew it was bad because driving home was miserable. Literally, like I would get in my car. That would be 20 minutes before I pull out of the school. Then it was like an hour drive back to my house because of traffic during the time. That was a mess because the whole time I'm driving back, like, what is it, God? Like, what am I supposed to be doing? Please, God, like, please, like, I love these kids. I'm pouring into these kids the way that I know I should be pouring into these kids. But I can't sit right at this job. I mean, every time I turn around, it's an issue. It's an issue with Miss Dotson. Anyway, so yes, moving forward, I hated my job, bad relationship. 2020, I want to say 2022, 2023 rolls around, and I used to coach volleyball as well at this school. So I coached varsity volleyball, and I'm thinking, you know what? I'm going to start playing volleyball at the gym again. Whoop, boy, I was wrong. I ended up tearing my ACL and meniscus again. So if you don't know me, I tore my ACL and meniscus in my right knee back in 2017. I then tore my ACL meniscus again in my left knee, this time in my left knee in 2022, 2023, whatever year it was. Okay. Yeah. So at this point, I'm like, all right, what, like, God, please give up. Like, let it go. Like, please put me in the back this year. Cause I don't want to be the type of soldier. I really don't. Like, I think I just need time, Lord. Like, dang. But whatever, God didn't let up. I ended up living in these apartments at the time and left my book bag in my car. So happened, me being irresponsible, my car was unlocked and someone stole my whole entire book bag. Now, at the time, I was moving from my other apartment. So everything in that book bag was really me moving, which is why everything was in this book bag. Just keep that in mind. They stole my laptop, my MacBook. They stole my work laptop. They stole my Canon camera. They stole my iPad, and I'm pretty sure that's it. Right. Yeah, at this point I am shattered and disbelief. I am hurt. I'm like, God, why you keep taking things away from me? And that's crazy. That's little work because as I thought he took everything from me, I really still have my car. I thought. 20, so that was 2022. So 2023 rolls around January 1st. I'm outside, like turning up with these people that I thought was my friends. Wrong, not even friends with them no more. Anyways, that's another story for another day. But outside with these girls, I'm driving home and this lady, so there's a train and it's like stalling. And then, so I'm guessing I pulled up a little late. I'm just like, okay, I'm gonna wait at this train. But I see this car in reverse. And so I'm like, why is she in reverse? Like, so I'm like, okay, let me stop and start. And I'm like putting my car in reverse. And all of a sudden, like she hits the gas and runs into my Mercedes Benz. Now, if you don't know anything about a Mercedes Benz, them things total out so quick because the parts are just not here. And sometimes the parts are just overly expensive where it's just like, okay, let's total it out. So she ended up like rearing me on like my right side of my car, totaled out January 1st of 2023. Hers. At this point, guy, you done took my good knee because remember I tore my ACL. I tore my ACL and meniscus and got surgery on my right. You hit me for my left knee. You got all of my belongings, all the ones that I thought made me who I was. And to be honest, that's the truth. Like I had this iPad, this big iPad, I had this Mac, I had this Canon, I had everything a girl needed. Still wasn't making no podcast. But anyways, we go anyway. He took that from me. Then you take the Benz. I mean, I thought I had did my big one on the Benz. Like I just knew this was it for me. Like I just knew life was coming up. Baby, God took that whole car. He said total, total, total. And then blessed me because the car would have been upside down. But somehow he blessed me with like this gap insurance that I didn't even know nothing about. I just signed up for something. Blessed me with that gap. They covered that other cost that I was under. And yeah, I was able to run scot free from that car. Thank the Lord. All right, so I say all of that because in the midst of that valley, I just knew it was over for me. Like I was just like, all right, there can't be no hills after this because I mean, when they gonna come? I don't see it. There's no light. Back to back to back, and like it still didn't stop after there. Like I ended up moving in with my mom and was just depressed. Not because she was doing anything to me, but you know how it is when you live with your parents. Like you got their issues going on, you got your issues going on. It's just a lot, a lot. After being in this valley for so long, I just, ooh, it was a lot. It was a, okay. I ended up started smoking like tenfold. Like, oh my gosh, like the amount of smoking I was doing was crazy. Like, yeah, it's okay. Like, why? But whatever, it's part of the journey. I'm not even gonna hold you. I'm not lying to you. Remember, family, we family, so I'm gonna keep it real. Okay? Smoke. If you really want to know how much I was smoking, just ask me in the comments, slide in the DM. I'll let you know. I remember in the midst of this, I kept saying, dang God, like, am I your toughest soldier? Because everybody else around here just kind of living their best life. And here I am. Here I am. Suffering. Suffering. And don't get into like, and don't forget, I mean, suffering with a cast, suffering with a limp, suffering, can't bend my knee, can't walk right because I just had surgery. Just had surgery. So, what's up, guys? I mean, you gonna let up? You gonna put me in the back? You gonna let up, right? He didn't. He absolutely didn't. I just got stronger. I got smarter and I started working smarter and not harder. And so when it came to choosing what's going to be my next episode, I was really confused. I was like, I don't know where to start. And so I asked this special person in my life, and it's my little sister, by the way. And she gave me like two of the options that I had sent her. And then I had watched my pastor. Shout out to Pastor J, because yeah, this is why you tied. Because that man deserved every coin. Every coin. Yeah, he gonna give back, he gonna give to the church, but he deserved every coin. This is why you tied. So I ended up watching Pastor J, and he was talking about this story in First Kings chapter 20. Child, let's get into this story, and then I'm gonna tie it back to how I was feeling in the midst of my valley, okay? So remember, you got a valley, which is down, and you got a hill, which is up. All right. So, backstory and a little context for the characters that I'm about to tell you. Basically, Ben-Hadad was like, hey, bro, to Ahab, and was like, hey, bro, give me all your riches. And I mean, he not talking about like, give me your chain, give me your shoes. He's talking about, nah, bro. Like, he was like, give me your wife, give me your kids, give me your wealth. I need that. And so for some reason, I ain't really getting to beforehand. But for some reason, Ahab was like, cool. But then Ben-Hadad was like, all right, bet. And we also need, when we show up in Samaria, we're gonna take everything that we think is valuable. Now, that's when, oh boy, Ahab was like, nah, bro, you really got it messed up. Like, you doing too much now. Actually, I don't accept. I decline. We back at war. Because at this point, you trying to take me for everything I had. You trying to take, first of all, if you don't know, Samaria is the capital of Israel. So now you doing too much. Now you coming for our wealth. Yeah, bro. So now meet us at war. All right. So Ahab runs into this prophet. The prophet was like, look, bro, God on your side, but you need to go ahead, surprise attack on Ben-Hadad, right? Surprise attack him. God got you. Show up. He was like, cool. He did exactly that. And guess what? They won. Now, like you and me and everybody else, the losers, the person that's going through it right now, which is Ben-Hadad and his people, they're like, hey, bro, we lost, but don't even worry about it. We lost because, look, God show up on hills, right? He was like, God shows up on hills. We're going to catch him in the valley, and that's going to be it. We're going to win. Let me fast forward that, and let me put it into perspective, okay? So basically, he thought that God only showed up on the hill. He was like, look, because they was on the hill, God had them. But if we pull up in the valley, God ain't going to have them. God don't show up in valleys. I don't know why we be testing God like he won't just show up for real. So anyways, this went good. Okay. Pastor J really did his big one. I'm going to put a little clip because I can't stand the way that he did. Man, bro, look. Okay, it was real good. Okay?
And he died. But bright early Sunday morning, he got up with all power in his hand. And somebody ought to give God praise. Why? Because he's the God of the hill and the God of the valley. He is the God when you get a job. He's the God when you're in between jobs. He's the God when you wait.
They end up meeting in the valley. Ooh. What happens is God, was it God? Somebody was like, I think it was the prophet again. He was like, look, you're going to be outnumbered, but God on your side. All you got to do is show up. He gave him some plan. He gave him some rules. He followed the rules and he showed up. Now I say outnumbered because that's what the Bible said. And babe, when I tell you outnumbered, the Bible said it was like watching a herd of sheep versus men that takes over a countryside. So think of like men, so many men taking over one side of the country versus a flock of sheep. I mean, outnumbered. Baby, somehow, and this was in the valley. Like, I mean, think about it. Y'all down a player, your best shooting guard, your best point guard, and y'all away. Yeah, but God on your side, period. Okay, so that happened. They ended up winning the game. And they captured Ben-Hadad. So, like, yeah, I mean, we did our big one. And that was pretty much the end of the story. Basically, God shows up on that hill and he shows up in that valley. It don't matter. All you need to know is that if you show up and God on your side, you gonna win. Okay, period. Now, that's just half of the realization, to be honest, because okay, God on my side, in the hill, in the valley, but what does that mean to me in my life, right? Let me just put it back into my story. So I'm going through boom, 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 back to back to back to back to back. That's a valley. That's what we call a valley in this story. There was no hill in sight. I tell you that, okay? But I remember locking in. One day I was like, you know what? I'm tired of smoking. It's not doing what it used to do for me. Like, what do I need to do to lock in? I learned that I wasn't listening, so I had to lock in. So I ended up going to church and just was like, you know what? I need it. Whatever you're going to give me today, give it to me, Lord. Give it to me now. Baby, he gave it to me. He was like, look, move. Move. I was like, okay, I don't know where I'm moving to, but I'm finna move. So I started doing some research, ended up finding a job in Colombia and moved. Okay, and it's been up ever since. So that's the start of battle one, is to start listening, locking in and listening. So once you lock in and you listen, he'll give you an answer. You do it. Okay? God says surprise attack on Ben-Hadad. Listen, one, cool. Then they was like, hey, he gonna show up again, but just prepare yourself. So it's gonna be another valley, but prepare yourself. So I got out here. I mean, if you ever lived outside your country, thank whoever you need to thank for being where you are. And if you are in America, be hella thankful because you are living somewhere where it's different. People in other countries don't have what you have, okay? And be thankful for that. Okay? But I came to Colombia and child, it still wasn't going right. Still wasn't going right. I was in this new country, breathing this new air, eating this new fruit, and it still wasn't going right. I'm like, dang. And let me get into my job situation. Like, love the people I was working, but my mindset was still on BS. Like, it was still operating in the States. Like, nah, babe, like, God freed you. Remember, like, y'all won that battle. You know what I'm saying? So, I just remember going in this cycle of like, dang, like, why am I here? Why am I here? Why doesn't it feel like this magical thing happened to me? Like, I know I made a great decision. I listened to God, but why doesn't it feel like this magical thing has happened? And I beat myself up, beat myself up, beat myself up, beat myself up. But then I had to stop. I had to pause. And I had to remember that there's something God is telling me in the midst of this journey. And I need to listen and apply it to my situation. Because if I don't, I won't win this battle. And I want to win. So I stopped, I paused, and I listened. And child, he hit me. I was laying in that bed. I was laying in the bed in like my third Airbnb because not only was my job not fitting, my living situations wasn't fitting either. Like it was just a lot going on. I'm making pesos. The money ain't adding up. I still got this responsibility back in the States. Like, what is going on, Lord? Like, please. So the what he said to me was, be still and listen. Be still and listen. So I said, okay, be still and listen. Be still and listen. Cool. So I went back to work. And if you don't know, let me put you on to Colombians and how they operate sometimes. It's kind of like if I tell you to do something, you do it, especially when you work here. And if you know anything about me, you probably don't. So let me put you on. But some of y'all do. I'm not a person where somebody just tell me something and I just go, okay, no problem. Like I have a couple questions. A little pushback might come and so forth. Like I can't help who I am, but I am gonna listen to God, and He said I need to be still and listen. So at this point, I'm like, all right, bro. I fought these people. They end up calling me the mayor. They call me the mayor in Columbia. Why? Because I'm always telling them, y'all feel like that's right. Like I be talking to my coworkers, and I'm like, y'all think that's right? I think we should really like try to change it. Like I'm always trying to change something for the better. But I realize that is not my job. That's not my job in Columbia. That is not why God placed me here. And sometimes you gotta realize that is not why God placed you here. Lock in. Okay? Cause you still operating back in the States. You still operating like 10-year-old Tasia, trying to get her word across, trying to prove her point. Stop it. That is not God's mission for you. And that's the real tea. Like, clock it. So yeah, I had to let it go. I was like, okay, cool. They ended up wanting me to like teach, for real, teach. And I'm just like, look, I just got out this bad situation with teaching. I'm good on really teaching with like a book and a schedule and all of that. I just came here to be a brand ambassador, English ambassador, where you show up, play games with them, give them native English, have a good time, watch a movie or two. That's what I wanted to do. God had different plans. And he was testing me. He said, is she going to be still this time? Is she going to listen this time? Now, the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth time, I did not. I didn't. I didn't. But that sixth, that seventh, not that eight. I was still talking on that eight. But that ninth and that 10th, I was still, and I was quiet. I was tired. I was defeated. I was not giving up on me and on God's plan, but I gave up on trying to fight. And let me tell you who put me on to that. This is why you go to church. This is why you lock in with a pastor. I go to church. I end up going back to the States for my mom's birthday. I was only out there for like 4 days, but in the midst of that 4 days lies a Sunday, the first Sunday. I go to church, and Pastor J, I mean, he wasn't talking directly to me. He was talking directly to me. We be locked in. But anyways, he talking to the right side of the room, and he's like, over here, it's a lot of fighting going on. Y'all fighting. Let it go. Stop fighting. Child, I mean, waterworks. I'm crying because I knew it in my spirit. And at the time, I didn't know I was fighting. I didn't know that I was just being old Tasia. I didn't know that I was like causing this issue for myself. Why am I not liking Colombia? Why am I not liking this job? Because I was using the same mind, same heart, same thinking that I was back in the States when I was under this whole other supervision. That's why. So when I stopped fighting it and I came back to Colombia that sixth, seventh, and eighth time, oh my God, things have changed so much. Baby, what you want me to do? Okay, I'm gonna do it the best to my ability, okay? And boom, I'm gonna ask God for a little strength. I'm going to move on because that is not why I'm here. I am not here to tell you why, when, and why I can't do something. I'm just not here for it. If God signed me up for it, I'm going to do it. If God tell me to surprise attack on Ben Hadad, I'm going to do it. If God tell me to prepare for the attack from Ben Hadad, I'm going to do it. It just don't make no sense to go back and forth. The plan was already created. And if you read the Bible, he already told you that you're going to have an attack coming, that he's going to be with you through the hills and the valleys. Okay? That's just part of being a Christian. It's going to be hills, you're going to be good, and you're going to have some very low times. How long the low's going to last, we don't know. But there will be another hill, and then there will be another valley. All right? So keep yourself together in the midst of all of it. In the midst of the hill, say thank you and ask for preparation, the tools, wisdom to prepare for the valley that's coming. Yeah. Yeah. Don't beat yourself up and don't fight with God. Don't fight with him. He already told you. He already said it in the Bible and he already told you how to get through it. But you ain't been reading your Bible. Oh, okay. Yeah, so lock in episode 2, I really want you to focus on locking in by having faith, showing faith in his word. And if you don't know his word, read his word. I mean, and if you don't want to read because the Bible just seems so intimidating, don't get me wrong. It does. It did. And it will forever. You see me messing up on these names. Please do not repeat these names to anybody. I'm still working on these names. Ben Hadad and Ahab, child. Don't repeat these names to nobody. Do your own research. Get your own understanding. But anyways, lock in and show faith. Okay? Lock in by showing faith to God's word. That's what it means in episode 2. When you are in a valley, being God's toughest soldier, strap up with his armor, strap up with his word, and show faith. Okay? And most importantly, if you're anything like me, you know, big-headed, don't listen, always talking, not listening, always got something to say, always trying to fix it. Be quiet, be still, and just listen. Because I was not listening enough. I was not listening at all, actually. I was not listening. And unfortunately, he had to sit me down. He had to send me all across the water to get me to shut up and listen. And now I'm embarrassed because I should have just, and no, that's just part of the journey. I needed to see this nice valleys and hills of Colombia and be quiet. Because I was not being quiet in them states. I tell you that. Ooh, child, yeah. And if you listening to this and I was ever employed with you, I apologize. I made your job real hard. And on the bright side, I made your job very well sometimes because you had to go back and check your work, you know. So win-win for everybody. But anyways, moving on. And somewhere in this podcast, I hope you learned something more than just my business. But I hope you take the importance, and that's just having faith in God. And make sure you follow and subscribe to my pastor channel. If you're not in Houston, it's cool. He be online every Sunday, 2 services. So show up, all right? Don't forget, family, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. It means so much to me. And it keeps me going on this journey, okay? It keeps people going, okay? I love you. God loves you. And thank you so much for the support. Ciao, ciao, people. Mwah. I love you.